Welcome in Food for Thought. And today, with my guest, two more weeks, right?
Hi.
We are analyzing Barbie, the movie. People who did not watch and do not want spoilers. Spoiler alert for your consideration.
But you should have
Okay.
watched it by now.
I mean, it depends. It depends. No judgment there. First question to you, Marvin.
Mhm.
Why did you watch that movie? Like, what compelled you to see it?
Because the main character is literally me, Ken. No, to be honest, it's quite ridiculous. No, I got into the whole Ryan Gosling is literally me meme on the internet. I think that's very, very funny. It's also very interesting because it doesn't come from nowhere. And when I then heard that they're gonna make a Barbie movie and Ryan Gosling is gonna be Ken like a year ago when they said that, I was already excited because I thought, well, that's gonna be interesting. And I wasn't disappointed. So that's why I watched the movie.
I watched the interview with Ryan Gosling, and he talked how he accepted the role. So he got the script and the question. If he accepts the role, then he gets outside, and then he sees the Ken doll with his face down in like mud or water or whatever, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll take that thing."
Literally me. Yes.
Divine intervention. Sign. Okay. So we did our homework. We watched the movie. And spoiler alert. The movie starts with the prehistoric age and Helen Mirren narrating beautifully about the history of the appearance, the Barbie doll. And they showed little girls who are forever playing with imitations of child that they care for, a doll that looks like a baby. And so little girls like cradling that baby, and then they receive alternative, not a baby they care for, but they see that beautiful woman who looks like an idol, and she's like huge, and there is like wonderful space odyssey plays around, and massive idol of Barbie appears, and the girls start breaking the babies that they cared for or like imitations of babies, and like, which I found really drastic because like, didn't you just care for those a second ago? How did you receive that scene?
I heard about that scene before I watched the movie, and it was mostly from people who thought it was a metaphor for abortion. And I see why they make that connection. I don't think that it's wrong, but I also think that it's too literal. And so I don't think that they were trying to consciously advocate for abortion. I think that it was much more an attack on the general high positioning in a hierarchy of values that motherhood has. And so I did not. I think the scene made sense in the movie because it just fit perfectly into the other things that the movie tried to sell us. I didn't like it, of course. I thought it was horrible. I think the greatest thing that, and I say that in reverence, I think the greatest thing that a woman can achieve is motherhood. I think there's nothing greater than that, and not in a not in a demeaning way. That like that women can't be like at the top of a company hierarchy or whatever. I just what?
Sorry. As a woman who is a mother, I hope there is more I can achieve. I mean, yeah, of course, it's a great honor to achieve the motherhood. We are not fully aligned with Marvin on our ideas. So there will be a clash here. And yeah.
Let's get into that right now.
Watch me get red and explode right now.
No, but
okay.
like
I hear you, man. I hear you. And I get it, like to prolong the human species and to get babies into this world and to raise decent human beings who then prolong the human species and bring value to this world, it's really important. I get it. I agree with that. To me, that it's not even the motherhood element. It already comes with the care element.
Please explain.
Little girls were showing us caring for imitations of a child, for a baby. They care for it. They feed it, they cradle it. They're like, I care for you. They learn to care.
Mm-hmm.
And when Barbie comes along, that huge shape figure of really beautiful, ideal human woman, I find her very attractive. So when she comes in, they don't really care. It's a different emotion that is evoked.
Mm-hmm.
It's admiration and the desire to be like that. So the care element is replaced. Do they care for Barbie? Not really. They want to look like her, they want to be her, but they do not really care about her. Like, I don't believe so.
It's technically like a form of narcissism that gets awakened. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
So that's my problem. No, the motherhood element, I was triggered like a mother, yes. But there are people who decide not to be mothers, and I do not judge that. Let's talk about specifically the movie and the psychological effect. So that's my perspective.
I would like to justify myself here though for a second.
Sure.
What I mean when I say that what I mean when I say motherhood is the greatest thing that you can achieve as a woman, I'm speaking what in a general sense. I think that anything that we can create, even as a man, I think that anything that we can create in any role that we can fill in a society cannot top the role of a good parent. So you can you can lead a company and make great products, and that's cool. And you can be an artist and you can make great art, and that's also a great thing. But when you're capable of participating in bringing a new life into this world, that in itself is a miracle beyond belief. And then if you're also capable of caring for that child and raising that child to be a loving human being that is good for the world around it, I don't think that you can do anything greater than that. It's just, that's the pinnacle.
Okay. I see our views align on the care element. So even if you are a person who cannot possibly have children, but you are capable of caring for a child that maybe you did not born, but you like adopt a child, that's also a parenthood. Let's talk about
of course.
that. This is an honor. I absolutely 100% agree with you, Marvin, that caring for a human being that is, let's say, that is under your influence. It's like a tiny human being that grows, that you kind of shape into this world. That's an honor. One thing is to care for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the greatest form of responsibility as well.
Exactly. So one thing is to care for a human being that is independent from you, that can just like leave and disappear. That's fine. You can care for a little bit, but it's non-commitment. But caring for somebody who is dependent on you for over a long period of time, that's an honor, that's a privilege, and that's a big teacher. I agree with that. Sorry, I'm caressing my Barbie doll. I wanted to bring her up as I was like the massive image of her appears. And in a way, I see her both as an idol, but I don't really care about her. It's in a weird sense. I have a tiny baby girl, which I actually care more. And you can see that her hair is braided, and she's like accurately, smartly dressed. But because she's a child, and I immediately kind of, for some reason, have the motherly instinct of caring for her. Is that one? Her hair never was braided for some reason. I don't know, because when I look at her, she seems adult to me.
Yeah.
An adult person doesn't require grooming, let's say, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, adult person is admiration, conversation, freedom, but not grooming. And that's the difference that I wanted to highlight. Of course, in the movie, they broke those, which I disagree with. Moving in further with the plot, they move into Barbie land. And the Barbie land is all colorful. Basically, everything is contrast high up. And the things are kind of indestructible. Everything is made of plastic. If you drop it, you don't break it. If you fall, you don't die. Yeah, everything manifests like that. So whatever you think about, you can actually just, over there, here is an ambulance. And
Perfect.
with the operation table right here. Oh, you broke your ankle? Let me heal it. Boom, healed. Like, everything is immediate, no waiting. Unrealistic world that you play with. And it's also very safe. It seems like it doesn't matter how much risk you take, you don't die. Yeah, what else I can see from that world? It's a good escape from reality. So if a child psychologically in reality feels unsafe, that's the world the child will feel the most comfortable in. Unrealistic, imaginary world. What was your thought about it?
That's generally, I would say that's it. So it's very superficial, and it's a playful version of the real world without any risks. So you have later in the movie, we're not there yet, but you have later in the movie, you have Ken who tries to surf, but he's not surf Ken, he's beach Ken. So it doesn't work out. And then he hurts his ankle. And you have the accident, you have the injury, but also no problem, because it's solved without technically without doing anything, because as the Barbie said, by the time that I told you this, you're already healed. Oh, that's great. So you can get into real world processes without the disturbing parts of the real world. So it's play. What I also thought was, it was just, I don't know if it's that deep, but it's at least fun. When Barbie took a shower, like she stepped under the shower, there was no water coming out, but she was acting as if. And when she drank, nothing came out of either the milk carton nor out of the cup. So it's just pretend. Right.
I get it. Also, Margot Robbie played excellent with that role.
Yes.
My full admiration for the acting there.
Yeah, it was the perfect cast for sure. Like Barbie and Ken were perfectly cast.
That's true. I also like John Cena in the role of Merman. Yeah, check it out, that movie. So we are getting introduced into Barbie world. And of course, there are like many different Barbies, all shapes of sizes. And the one that actually struck a chord with me, and she was admitted as the Barbie Land weirdo somehow. And she's like, oh, there is a pregnant Barbie, but she was discontinued. Please don't mind her. The like camera moves away into happy Barbies. So pregnant Barbie, always by herself, even though with other Barbies, it's implied that there is a Ken adjacent to Barbie. With the pregnant Barbie, she's by herself and she's ostracized from society. So from society of Barbies. I get it, it's a movie, but like you do send with those movies messages to impressionable young generation that is like somebody pregnant is ostracized from society, and that's the way I received it.
Yeah,
How
for
about you?
sure. No, I think that's what's happening. I'm not even sure if they did this consciously or subconsciously, but the whole idea of the filmmaker seems to have been, I mean, it's watered down, of course, but the whole idea of the filmmaker seems to have been to demote motherhood and to raise alternative lifestyles to motherhood. So there are instances where they particularly specifically put down motherhood and mothers in the movie. I don't think that it's done to the degree that they want to specifically make motherhood worth less than a Barbie who's a Nobel Prize winner or something like that. But the whole idea seems to have been to put those on the same level. Also, like if you look at it ideologically, then that's the smarter move to make. Because if you try to put something down very badly, then people are going to try to defend it. But if you simply put it on the same level as something else that technically wouldn't have the same, would be on the same level, then it's much easier to demote it.
And like to be a little bit of an advocate here. I think if the movie is targeting a younger generation, it is important to kind of find out who you are before you move to motherhood. I get it. Perhaps that was the message. Perhaps. I don't know. But just the way that it seemed extremely painful to me is that the pregnant one was ostracized from the community of Barbies. That's it. That's my only observation here. Then another thing that kind of was unfair, I get that it might be a parody on real world, is that Ken has a good day if Barbie looks at him once. They played it as a joke, but that's horrible. It's like, to another human being, you have a good day if somebody else just looks at you once. It immediately made me like Ken, like feel sorry for Ken. I just like immediately was on his side.
Yeah.
Like right away.
Yeah, he was the underdog. The way that he was introduced was exactly that. And you see like how everything that he cared about was the positive attention from Barbie. And that's why he also stepped out of line, because as that which he was, which is Beach Ken, like that's his job, Beach, he couldn't get the attention. He couldn't get the attention that he longed for. And so he tried to step out of line and become Surf Ken, even though he can't do that. And that's also when he injured himself.
Yeah. It's like, it was weird. Like Barbie has all these jobs and like the Ken is just Beach. Like, what are you, just Beach? Like, are you like a lifeguard? No, I'm just Beach. I'm
That's
just
a
like
common
guy
misconception.
on a beach wearing a short. Like I cannot even surf like that.
he stands confidently to quote Brian Proctor. Yeah, it's absolute. But I go with that. I like that. I made like a version of that on Twitter. Low effort. Like it's symbol Ken. His job is symbols, and he comes equipped. He comes equipped with fractal patterns and a copy of Mathieu Pajot's The Language of Creation. Then you have like
Shut up,
Ken
Matthew.
standing there. It's yeah. It's so it's no. I thought that was funny. But it's also I mean, I get what they were trying to do because their impression of the real world is that men get all the important roles and women are demoted to something trivial, let's say, and uncomplicated, something like that. That's the way that they seem to view the world. And so what they did was turn that around in Barbie world. It doesn't work for me because I don't think that's how the real world is. I mean, in a few aspects, of course, but I don't think that that's how the real world is. So when you then try to turn that on its head, it just makes it even more ridiculous.
To me, is even if you think the real world is all divided into black and white, into different tribes like male, female, patriarchy versus matriarchy, it's not a thing that should be promoted, let's say, expanded. And I got the sense that by stating it as such, even as a parody or as a joke, it aids the tribalism, it aids the rift, let's say. That's the sense, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I mean, the real world is quite complicated, but generally the categories that we have had for thousands of years, for men and women, for example, or generally for different groups of people, they don't come from nothing. So there's a reason why we have these categories, and often, not always, but often it's a good reason. But I think the way to approach it is not tribalism, where you have these different groups fight against each other for I don't know, for resources or whatever, but is as in Christianity is unity and multiplicity. So you have different people and you have different vocations and you have different professions, but the way that people strive is not when we have these different professions fight against each other, like a financial advisor fighting against a poet or whatever, but is these people helping each other out. And so the poet definitely needs a financial advisor because generally artsy people aren't very good with stuff like that. And the financial advisor needs some form of artistry for his soul, for recreation. It's like you need to be awake and do stuff, but you also need to be able to sleep and get some rest. And so it's these opposites that have to be united in a constructive and loving way. And that's where people can strive and they can be themselves and they can have their quirks, but they also need to channel that in a way that benefits the other people, like a bit like a clock, where like the I don't know the words, you know what I mean.
I always get to food analogies. We need not only one type of food, let's say, not only pasta, but salads, sweets, juices, fruits, all of that. We need all of those in order for our body to receive all the necessary nutrients. Plus,
unless you're Michaela Peterson, because then you only need red meat and salt.
shut up, Michaela.
But normally people, yeah, I agree.
Normally, yes. It's strengthening for the body. It's like it builds up it actually makes us our life richer somehow. Diversity is necessary in order to appreciate all the flavors of life.
That's why the slogan that contemporary politics has given itself, like diversity is our strength. That's not wrong. It's all about execution, and it's all about the proper context. So diversity is can be something very good and can be something very necessary and can also be destructive. Things have to be in their proper place.
I agree. Like there should be a balance between the two, not one towards the other. There should be a cooperation, not that. You know?
Yeah.
So further in the story, Barbie gets into weird thoughts as there is a party going on that Barbie absolutely did not invite Ken, and she's like, yeah, whatever, show up. It's not for you, even though she's like designed for that specific beach Ken, because she's a beach Barbie. Like that's actually the Barbie they refer to. That's the beach Barbie, Margot Robbie Barbie.
But they called her stereotypical Barbie.
Okay.
So maybe that was their try to get out of that. But I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
So
but anyway, yeah.
Stereotypical Barbie plus the Ken whose role is Peach.
Yes.
I love it. It's just like so again, she dances with different Ken, even though like she's designed for that Ken, which I kind of. And then I again looked at the lonely dancing pregnant Barbie who was not dancing in a couple, even though they kept referring to Alan, who is unwanted underdog. I was like, yeah, but what about pregnant Barbie? She was like, at least Alan did not get discontinued. Pregnant Barbie is like, okay.
Yeah, I agree.
So I one thing about the Ken and Alan, what I wanted to notice here, both of those characters showed potential for care, and they both showed that they want something and care about something. Alan cared about Ken, like the moment Ken hurt himself, he's like, Ken! I mean, I could see he actually cared. Yeah, and Ken, it's like you could almost see tears in his eyes. He, even though he's a doll, he did display a lot of human qualities. So
I think Ken was the most human character.
That's true.
At least out of Barbie Land. Yeah.
Out of Barbie Land, Alan is
maybe generally. Yeah, okay, fair.
I like Alan too, like the underdog Ken. Like our Ken is the protagonist Ken, but it was like Alan, shout out Michael Cera. I liked him too. Both of them played a big role in here, even though differently.
Yeah.
So
the first bit of weirdness that we're exposed to is Barbie dancing with everyone, and then she suddenly shouts out, "Does anyone ever think of death?" or something like that. The music stops, everyone looks at her uncomfortably, like she said something forbidden, and then she acts as if she meant something else, like she's happy to death to be dancing with them or something approaching that. And then music resumes and everything is fine again. But then like that was the originally perfect day, and then she wakes up the next day and she seems kind of hungover and like not very happy that the day started, and everything seems to be off, and she takes a shower with no water coming out, and she steps under it and it seems to be very hot or very cold, and then she has to adjust the water temperature. Then she goes down, her toast is burned. The whatever it was that was supposed to land on her plate didn't land on the plate but on the floor, I think. And then she tries to drink some milk, and you can already see that it says expired, and then she drinks the non-existent milk. Nothing comes out, but she's disgusted because I don't know if you've ever drank bad milk. It's awful. And yeah, so that's like the first time for Barbie that the day doesn't start perfectly, and things get weirder and weirder from there.
Yeah, I find that interesting because it seems like into the imaginary world, reality starts creeping in. And I was like, yeah, I think that's the way it should be played, though. Like, I was like, yeah, the game suddenly seems relatable. Imagine playing and then you actually learn lessons, because that's the way it's supposed to be. The way I remember playing in the past with my sister as we were children, we actually enacted the real world. Oh, the milk is bad. What do? We go to the shop and buy new milk. We do not like, oh my God, ruined milk. What's happening? The end of the world. Like we did not have that reaction. So as if it's a child's game, I was like, yeah, the game suddenly seems like more useful to a child whoever plays that game. I kind of received it positively, and with the thoughts of death, because I was contemplating nihilism and hedonism, the combination in between those two, I was like, okay, so she lives the hedonistic life, and then she suddenly contemplates the end of it all. It kind of bleeds into nihilism. So I go into deep philosophical thought. Turns out it's not what the movie was about, so I dropped it.
I was gonna say that's why Barbie is a deeply Eastern Orthodox movie, because the lesson is remember death.
Awakening to the orthodoxy.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's not. Sadly, it's not.
The Barbie experiences all the human things, which I don't think it's bad for the actual child who is playing that thing. I was like, oh my God, flat feet. It's okay. It's fine. You can have flat feet. I'm no all of the dolls that I have, they have feet like that, which is like all of them. I'm not kidding. Don't find me weird. That's the amount of dolls. Yes. I play with them. I have to come out. So Barbie goes to the character who is called Weird Barbie. So Weird Barbie is the character you play with too hard, so it gets all fucked up and broken. And she's like bending all ways, and her face is messed up. Everything is not okay. Like she has weird hair and her face is painted. Anyway, so the reason why everybody goes for advice to Weird Barbie is because Weird Barbie experienced human world, and she came out scarred after that. She became weird because she's like, oh, I've seen stuff. Played brilliantly by Kate McKinnon. I love her. Again, wonderful, brilliant actress. And she possesses all the knowledge about the real world, and she says to the original Barbie, you have to fix it. there is a rift. You have to drive by car, drive by bicycle, drive by
Camper?
spaceship, then rollerblades, whatever. And
Yeah.
then you go and you arrive into the real world. And Barbie says goodbye to everybody. She intends to go. And of course, we see Ken, who is like, but I love her. And he decides to join her, even though she did not ask for it for some.
Yeah, she didn't ask, even though she says that she is like frightened to go alone. And then Ken claims to Ken that oh yeah, she totally asked me, but I just don't want to go.
Which
So
is
it's
very
like-
human thing to do. Like Ken was
Yeah.
like so relatable. He was like, yeah, I would do that. I would like to totally lie about things like that. Oh my, just to look good, you know. It's not a lie if you
Yeah.
wish for it.
Yeah.
Like
Especially in front of Ken.
other
I-
Ken, yeah. The
Yeah.
peers who judge him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Judgment is a bad thing. Like
Mhm.
it's a horrible thing. Like people, you see, Ken had to lie not to be judged by other Ken who are like also plastic. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing with the Barbie, like there is a travel, a trip to the real world, and
Which was by the way, which was very unrealistic. Because
it's okay.
yeah, Ken didn't drive for some reason, even though that's been his main thing. Like he drives, and now he doesn't anymore.
I mean,
That
he's
was-
a bitch.
No, okay, fair. I was just referencing Drive with Ryan Gosling, but yeah, fair.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
I drive.
They did not utilize the special ability of Ryan Gosling to drive. I get it.
Yeah, I was very disappointed at that, because also I saw a trailer where Ken shows up in the car and Barbie's all like, oh, what are you doing here? And in that trailer he just said, I drive, and then they cut to the next scene, and I thought that was gonna happen in the movie. I was very sad that it didn't, but it's fine. It's a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
then
want
they
to
get-
see that trailer now. So
I'm
check
gonna
it out.
find it. Yeah, I'm gonna find it. We're gonna link it.
So yeah, basically they arrive in the real world, and for some reason, even though it's California, which is like absolutely accepting and supportive of people who look like Barbie and Ken, it's like literally the thing for California, you all have to look like Barbie and Ken. For some reason, they treat Barbie and Ken as weirdos, which I don't believe would happen, but okay. So,
No, but they did that because they wanted to get in the you remember the scene where both said like we're being like noticed and commented on, and then Ken says, yeah, and there's no undertone of violence, and then Barbie's like, yeah, mine kind of has undertones of violence. And I thought they wanted to get that in, so they had to have the people be like, "Huh, what's up with them?"
oh,
Yeah.
I completely missed that or forgot that. And anyway, so there is like adventures in the real world. I just want to say the scene where Barbie looks at the elderly woman at the bus stop was not originally supposed to be in the movie.
Mhm.
It was not supposed to make the final cut, but Greta Gerwig loved that scene, and she personally vouched for the scene. So thank you, Greta, for
Yeah,
keeping
that was
that-
awesome. Yeah, really.
So in that scene, actually, it's the first time where I have seen Barbie to display human heart,
Mhm.
which I loved. It's like she looks at the elderly woman, and you could see there is stuff happening in her eyes, like a thought actually going through her mind. She's, you're beautiful. And the old lady, like, I know. And I loved that. It was
Yeah. Now it seems to have also foreshadowed her decision at the end of the movie, because she looks at the old woman who aged like a human does, and she doesn't think that it's disgusting. She thinks it's beautiful. Because it kind of is. I mean, I don't fully subscribe to that, but something that I still like when people say it is that many things are beautiful because they are not permanent. So there's beauty in not in decay, but in something not being eternal. And I don't fully subscribe to that, because if the kingdom of God, for example, wouldn't be eternal, it wouldn't be half as promising as it is for us now. But still, there's like this this being lost in the human experience, and the like being overwhelmed by the decay of everything and by death, and then our ability to still find beauty even in that's something amazing.
Like I only like wanted to note one thing. The beauty was visual that she attributed to. And to me, when I think of beauty, the beauty is in action as well. So there are beautiful moments where people care for other people, they live their life, they have gathered memories. This is beautiful. And I was not sure if she attributes the beauty to those memories that are printed on the face, let's say, if they would be like implicitly show, she looks at the lady and she kind of feels like that lady went through all those experiences, and she's like, I want to have those experiences, the human experiences. This is the beautiful part. It's not the fact that you will get old and die. That's not the thing. The fact of beauty is you will live your life in which you will love, you will experience joy, you will travel, you will see things, you know, you will be loved as well. Like this is the beautiful part, which I seen as a person on old woman's face.
I think that this was implied. One, in the way that she looked around and saw other people, like when other people were sad, and also when they were happy. And I also think that when Barbie looked at that old woman, I don't think that she thought consciously, oh, the woman had all these experiences, that's beautiful. But I think that she got an implication that she herself didn't fully understand, but she could grasp the beauty behind that. So I think that was there.
Oh, thank you for pointing that out. You're right. I now remember that she did look around and that she did look at the experiences that other people had. Awesome. So she basically gets confronted with reality, where Ken Caricatuli gets confronted with reality, also with Space Odyssey and idol of Bill Clinton showing up in front of him. Whatever.
That bit was amazing when Ken found out about patriarchy. That was the coolest scene in the movie. He was like, so he was so happy about it. Horses, men rule. Like that was so cool.
Yeah. I was happy for Ken because he was underdog for such a long time. I was like, yes, I was rooting for him. So I was happy for Ken.
Yeah,
I was like,
sure.
At some point sitting, I was like, thanks God, Ken found some happiness.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. Again, that was brilliantly executed, amazing play by Ryan.
For sure.
I admire that.
Yeah, actually, I maybe it's too little of a detail to point towards it, but the way that he looked, and this look grew stronger, like this form of boldness, and it was so funny. Like really, I couldn't stop laughing. It was amazing, the whole scene. So then they get together again, and I forgot, like they both said their discovery at the same time. I forgot what Margot Robbie said. I only remember what Ken said. He was like, men rule the world. And then Barbie's like, what? Don't forget about it. What did you say? then they, I
Yeah,
think they,
but yeah,
yeah,
again, his discovery was not that important.
yeah.
He was like, yeah, of course, Barbie, like whatever you say. This he was still in that mindset back in the day. Yeah, Margot Robbie like discovers that the world is not the way she wanted to. She imagined it to be. So she imagined that she's a big hero in the world. She's a role model, and all the women look up to her. She made this world a better place, which which I kind of find good because it shows that on her part she wanted to be a force for good. She did not know what that good was. She thought that good would be like to make her the good role model,
Yeah.
and then she finds out that she isn't, and then she even met a teenager who lashed at her and said, no, Barbie is the evil, she's like unrealistic standard for women.
And a fascist. Then we
Yeah,
have, yeah,
but
and then like a
I
scene
don't know
later we
why.
have Barbie like, I don't control the railways and the flow of commerce. I'm not a fascist.
Yeah, I was like, what? Why would they put that complicated thought into the movie? But okay.
That was fun.
It was funny in a way. So there was like this part about America Ferrera, who worked for Mattel office, and then Mattel office was run by all the men. We are coming back to Barbie Land,
Yeah.
and Ken was already there prior to Barbie.
Yeah, he
He
found
comes
some
in.
books. When they were in
Yeah.
school, he found some books, Why Men Rule, and also Horses. And he brought all of that back to Barbie Land to build a
Yeah,
patriarchy there because he
he
tried
wanted to
to,
help other Kens.
yeah, but also like before he went back to Barbie, you remember
Mhm.
that he tried to get a job like in finances, and they were like, yeah, you need at least a
Yeah.
PhD or an MA or whatever, and so he didn't get one, and then he tried to become a lifeguard. No, I don't want, like, I don't want to become a lifeguard. I want, like, my job is beach. Can you just pay me for that? And so he got a job nowhere, and then he was disillusioned with the patriarchy in the real world, and so he thought, okay, I'm gonna build my own patriarchy in Barbie Land. And then
Mm.
Barbie was taken by Mattel to the Mattel building, and Ken said, okay, well, then I'm gonna go back alone and I'll build the Kendom there. And we don't see how he does it. Sadly, I would have wanted to see that more than more than the Barbie bit, to be honest. But yeah, then Barbie has the whole running away scene from the from the Mattel guys who want to put her in the box and just send her back. After, like, that was the great, no, I'm not gonna repeat it. That was the greatest joke in the whole movie was what the Mattel boss said after he is confronted about the woman. Like, I'm the nephew of an aunt woman, and something, and the last sentence was so great, was so great.
Um, oh yeah, that when Barbie was running away, she came to the room where the ghost of Ruth was kept. Ruth, the creator of Barbie, and she was kept there by herself, alone, even though, like, in real life, she was married till the rest of her life.
Yeah, her husband even outlived her.
Yeah. It was really sad because Ruth actually represented family values. She had children, grandchildren. Yeah. And then they showed her all by herself in a room, kept after her death. For some reason, I don't get it, but
It
I
seems to
thought
be,
that scene was weird.
yeah, it was, I mean, again, it makes sense from the point of the from the ideological point of the filmmakers, because you can make an ideological point. You'd be like, the woman who created Barbie is like a forgotten memory that's kept somewhere in a dark room in the building. And so I think that's why they portrayed it that way. I don't think that it makes sense generally, but it makes sense from the point of view of the filmmakers to present it that way, because they want to paint a picture, of course.
I wanted to say about Ken as well. So Ken comes to the real world and he tries to get a job. He wants to be a useful member of society. I noticed that in the Barbie Land too, he kept trying to be more relevant, more than he is. So he always wanted more. He had this drive to have it better, which I respect. And Barbie like, no, the life is good as it is, but I want more, I want better, I want like, I will try a new thing, I will try to be a surfer, I will try to develop. So Ken does possess all those qualities for improving life, which I noticed, which I admired. Yeah.
It was shown, I think, very painfully. I mean, it was funny, but it was also painful, I think, when he was so surprised and amazed when a woman asked him for the time. Like that by him, he couldn't even tell it to her. He was like, no, I do not have the time. But he, like that she asked him was such an amazing thing to him. It was played as funny and I laughed, but it was also kind of sad.
The usefulness, right? Like, oh, she's seen me as a useful person. Like that was important to him, being useful. Yeah. Anyway, so they all have this coming back to Barbie Land thing, where Ken is already re-establishing new order, or just establishing new order. And Barbie is not coming to Barbie Land alone. She takes with her America Ferrera and her teenage daughter, who hates all Barbies, by the way. And in the Barbie Land, they discover patriarchy, and they discover that women love it, that Barbies love it, but they also hypnosed somehow, like they love it because they forgot the previous thing that I kind of not understood fully. I guess somehow the real world bled, the real patriarchy together with Ken bled into the Barbie Land. That's why all the Barbies forgot that they were Madame President, Nobel winner Barbie, the lawyer Barbie, and stuff like that.
But to be honest, I think that's probably what they try to portray. I think that you're right there. But it also, I think it wasn't executed very well, because like this, for example, when the doctor character was confronted with, I thought you were a doctor. The answer was, but I like being what? An object or something like that, like a useful object or something like that. So it doesn't seem like the Barbies forgot about what was before. It just seemed like they liked their new roles, and genuinely they seemed happier. I mean, that's my ideology. That's my ideology. But it's
they did seem happier, but they explained it in the movie the Barbies were brainwashed. Come on.
That was the, I don't buy it, but that was the explanation.
But like afterwards, America Ferrera gave this amazing speech about how hard it is to be a woman, which I absolutely identify with. Awesome speech. I identify with it. I'm not sure the Barbies in the Barbie Land should identify with that speech, because they weren't mothers and they weren't
all the things that she mentioned that were relatable. I'm going to say something about that later. Yeah, but like generally, the things that she said, some of them were particular to women, but most of the things that she mentioned were just general human experiences. Like,
Yes.
oh, you have to find a balance between
Nice
leading
and-
people and not, nice and firm and all that. Like, that's a human experience. Literally everyone has to do that. And so, yeah, but you're absolutely right. The Barbies shouldn't be identifying with that, because this struggle doesn't exist in Barbie Land, not even subconsciously.
It was not even existing before, and it was like that thing, like they cannot remember those things because it actually, her speech did not resemble the prior world that was there, which I think is a huge plot hole. And somehow by that speech, she would deprogram Barbies by making them remember what it's like to be a woman, which sounds pretty hard. And the Barbies like having their new role, and just like, even though, like, again, whoever chooses, I don't judge. Again, I do not try to tell you how to live your life. It's just like in that particular movie, it was a plot hole. The thing that would deprogram Barbies was not the actual Barbie experience, was a human experience that people have. Not always women, but also men.
Like another argument for the Kendom patriarchy would also be that in that patriarchy in Kendom, everyone was happy. But in the previous Barbie Land, the Barbies were the only ones who were happy. Because I mean, okay, you can make an argument for some of the Kens being fine with their roles, but there were definitely others, like Alan, for example, and also the beach Ken, who were not at all happy with the things that with the way that things were going. And okay,
I mean,
but yeah.
Okay, in the, also like Weird Barbie was not really happy, and like the Barbies that remember the previous world, they are also not happy because they want the things to be the old way. They aren't happy. So the Barbies who maintain the memories and yeah, and the Barbies who were outliers before and remained outliers. They were.
And also, like, one more argument against the point that I just tried to make is that Alan also wasn't happy with the Kendom. He didn't like it.
Yeah.
That's why he tried to flee. That is, yeah. But that to me is also, again, interesting, because the only man who's not happy with the patriarchy, with the Kendom, is the weird guy, like the one who doesn't who doesn't fit into the general Ken role. Like, he's not muscular, he doesn't have like a sports interest or anything. He's just Alan. And that's also the way that he was introduced all the time. And that's the guy that is fighting for the matriarchy, which is interesting mirror to the real world.
They also made a comedy release when they showed other discontinued Ken. They also, some reason, maintained the memory. One of them would be Sugar Daddy Ken, and then some other weird Ken. So the weird Ken would be the people who would remember it, the past, who would not fit into the very masculine Ken world. Although I'm not sure, like Sugar Daddy can fit in.
Technically, he should fit into that.
Yeah. But anyway, like I did not fully understand the comedy bit there, except that it was funny. That they were
Yeah,
like, Sugar Daddy.
I don't think that it's deeper. I really that I don't think
I
it's
just
that deep.
wanted to
it's
mention it.
Yeah. Understandably so. If I knew about Sugar Daddy Ken and I was making that movie, I would have brought him in as well. That's just, why would you make such a Ken doll? That's weird.
I mean, they thought, since they showed the pregnant Barbie, that they discontinued, but they're like, along with pregnant Barbie, we also discontinued Sugar Daddy Ken. Yeah, for us. And it was awkward. It was awkward a little bit. Yeah. So anyway, I guess Barbies decide to deprogram other Barbies by reminding them how hard it is to be a woman. which they would give them all the speech about values that women should have. And they did it by stealing Barbies, kind of stealing, and also pretending, which is like, it's funny in a way, but it's also kind of evil. Like, I mean, it was like a little bit dishonest.
It seemed like the fun bit about that scene was that it was so so Ocean's 11 kind of a scene where they have, okay, we have this plan and now we're going to execute it, and then it's shown how they execute it, and that was fun to watch. But actually what they did, it was a bit against mansplaining. I think that's fair to say. I don't think that it works, because all that the Kens did was like kind.
Being very helpful.
Yeah, yeah. They were
like, oh my God, I'm so hurt. Could you help me? Of course I can help you. Like,
Yeah.
Ken's desire to be like a savior of the day. It's like why would they, like, I actually think it's a good quality. If somebody, man, woman, is in need, another person comes and help them, it should not be shown as a horrible thing
No.
against them or to be exploited.
The way that it would be negative, I think, was if like the Barbies were doing fine in like Photoshop or whatever they were doing, golf, and then the Kens came and were like, oh no, you're doing it all wrong, let me show you. Like,
Yes,
that's a negative way to explain something. But the way that this was shown was just like they literally didn't know, or they claimed to not know how to do these things. And then the Kens were like, oh, you don't know, I'm going to help you with that. That's fine. So yeah, yeah.
It was heartwarming. I was like, oh my God, that's so sweet. Like, no wonder I will pretend to be a bunny. You're awesome. Thank you. And then there is the most kind of heartbreaking part for me, where Barbies who were deprogrammed, they would together agree to tell all Ken that they are accepting being long-term, distant, casual, low-commitment girlfriend. And they cannot, oh my God, that's all I wanted. It's for you to be that. And for that, Ken would like play the music on the beach, do everything for the ideal woman who is supposed to be long-term, distant, casual, low-commitment girlfriend. Yeah, so Kens open up their heart just for the possibility of that, and
so for the possibility of love. It's like, because otherwise, if we don't,
I do get it. I do understand that in reality, Ken want to be loved, but in the movie they portrayed as if Ken would work hard to have that type of relationship.
Yeah, but I think it's necessary to say that, because it's not a plot point of the movie that the Barbies want a full commitment relationship. That's not this weird thing that you just laid out. And the Kens don't want to give it to them. But the only form of relationship, like loving relationship, that exists in Barbie Land is this, what? Can you spell it again, please?
Sure. Long-term, distant, casual, low-commitment girlfriend.
So that is the only form of loving relationship that exists in Barbie Land. And
that's
so
true.
that's the fullness of love that exists in Barbie Land. That's what the Kens want from them. So that's what the Barbies, what's the word? Promise them.
Yeah.
But it's a plot. It's a plot to turn the Kens against each other. And that's, like, I agree with you. That's the most heartbreaking scene in the movie. Yeah,
but also that relationship explains why pregnant Barbie is always alone. Because it's commitment.
It's low. A child is a fairly high commitment, so it doesn't.
Yes. It's like, that's why she's like, but no Ken is dancing with her, because it's actually not low commitment, it's high commitment. Yeah, that scene where Ken kind of, I always have the sense that he actually has feelings for her. Like it feels like he was happy to play that guitar. And then she's like, "Oh, you're such a good player." And then she's like, "In the one, whatever you're saying, oh, Ken, you're so funny talking to another Ken." Like right to his face. It was the plot to turn Ken against each other.
Yeah.
Which worked for a short amount of time, but Barbies needed that short amount of time, I guess, to revert the constitution or something.
Yeah, the Kens in the Kendom wanted to rewrite the constitution to establish the patriarchy. Look at me mansplaining to you.
Thank you so much. You're so kind.
To establish the patriarchy in Barbieland. And that was like a day later or whatever. And the Barbies made that plan and then had it play itself out so that the Kens would go to war against each other. And in that time, the Barbies would then reinstitute their actual constitution. Yeah, so that's what they did. It was very interesting to me. We talked about this before, that the Kens wouldn't have fought against each other. Like
Yes.
There was no animosity whatsoever. And even when they were fighting, they were so easily they so easily stopped fighting against each other as soon as they realized that what motivates them to fight is the pain that they all share with each other. And that's the first moment even that Ken and other Ken were like really working together and in their like sharing in their pain and then singing the whole "I'm Just Ken" song and all that. And they took like what 5 minutes of fighting to just reunite. But that was enough time for the Barbies to finalize their evil plot against the Kents and and reestablish I'm joking, but and reestablish the constitution.
Yeah, it was beautiful the way they showed problem solving, that they actually realized about their pain and they realized their commonalities, they realized the struggle, and they shook hands. As somebody who tries to find common ground with opposite sides, I keep being touched by those moments. It almost made me tear up. I was like, oh my God, good for you, Cam. Good for you. Like, bad for you, Barbies, for starting a war, but good for you, Ken, for like finding a proper human solution. And yeah, that was another part that brought me to liking Ken even more somehow.
Yeah. Again, he was the most human character in that movie, at least from Barbieland, and also the most relatable. I think if you can, we can get into that in the end when we talk about like the poem. So then we get into the technically like the last real bit of the movie, where Barbieland is reestablished. The Kendom, sadly, my boys, the Kendom is fallen. And the Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Oh my God, that was
the
so
Mojo
beautiful.
Dojo Casa House no longer. It's now again Barbie's dream house.
Oh my God. Which is again no place for Ken. And Ken comes to Barbie and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry that it was just my dream house. You're allowed a couple days in a week of not partying with other girls, but also spending time with you. And he's like, oh my God, finally love. Do you love me? And she's like, I don't love you. And I was like, okay, Fine, I guess. You told the guy finally that you don't love him because apparently she was stringing him along for a long time. Or then she has all this speech about Ken, you should decide what you want out of your life. And I actually thought that he had a right intuition by saying, am I beach? Am I horses? Because partially he's all of those things. This is his past. This is what he kind of some of the building blocks of him. And she's like, no, you're none of those things. Go find new things. I was like, the lesson supposed to be correctly like, those are some of your building blocks, but there are more to you. And I would like for you to discover something more within you. And so like, that's my criticism. Like, do not dismiss the past. You are all of those things, Ken. You're a beach, Ken. You're horses, all of that. You're boys, you're casa house. You want all of those things. It's a part
Mojo
of
Dojo Casa House.
yeah. Hell yeah. And then Ken kind of drops the things. And for some reason, he admits that he did not like the Kendam at all.
Yeah, he said he didn't like leading.
Oh,
Like that was too much. And he also says that he lost interest in patriarchy as soon as he found out that it wasn't about horses.
So this means he is also horses. Like, do not like he's like, obviously he likes horses. Like, do not dismiss that part of it. It's like, do not say no, you do like, you're not horse. Yes, he is. It's just let the guy work with horses. Actually, I'm pretty sure he loves horses. It's like his thing. He loves beach and horses. Like, he should go. I'm not saying what Ken should do, but I actually thought that ending was not played very well between them two.
Yeah, no, it seemed like, I mean, yesterday and the day before, this was a little clearer to me because we just watched the movie, but it seemed to me to be dishonest because the whole speech that Barbie gave about like, oh, Ken, you should find out who you really are and all that didn't seem to come from a place where Barbie really wanted Ken to find out who he is, but she wanted to have a justification for the things that she just did to him. So like the whole sending Kens into war against each other, and then also depriving Ken of everything that he is. And she like, or the filmmakers, maybe not Barbie, but like the movie needed a justification for these actions that seemed moral in the sense that no, wait, we're not screwing over the Kens now. We're actually caring for the Kens because they need to find out who they are really, and that didn't seem to be honest. If the movie was structured differently, then technically one could have made that point. Because it's not a good thing to identify yourself solely through your partner. But the movie didn't make that point. It just claimed to make that point in the end to make it seem more moral and justifiable, in my eyes.
That's what I mean. If she would just, if the filmmakers would say, Ken, you're all of those things, and plus you also have the capacity to care. You're obviously a partner, Ken. He is, because he actually feels like he needs a second person.
He was literally made for Barbie.
Yeah.
Like their god, Mattel, made Ken for Barbie.
The fact is, the fair thing would be to tell Ken, all of those qualities about you are good, but you can find out more about you. It's okay. I would be happy if he would like join the pregnant Barbie, who is still single for some reason. He obviously has desire to commit. I mean, okay, but like it's my projection.
But I agree.
And yeah, what else? I wanted to talk about the humanity part, where Barbie again interacts with creator of Barbie's Ruth, and then she decides that she wants to be a human being. And like, for me personally, a huge chunk of human being is caring for another human being. Like maybe I'm a partner, Ken, I don't know. Like, it's just like, and Barbie did not get any of that. She was like, oh, being human is death, and like the possibility that I will die soon, and the cellulite, and obviously genitals, like that's the parts of being human. And even at the end, spoiler alert, I do not see Barbie as caring for another human being, which I would like as a mother to teach to other children, like to all children. Please learn to care. Find that little thing that you care about. And even with that Barbie, like, she's already pretty. I don't want to care for her. For some reason, we care for somebody small and innocent and like helpless. But if somebody is like gorgeous already, you kind of a little bit envy that, but you do not care for that. That's my point.
Interesting. Yeah.
Although I kind of care for her, but like I don't want to braid her. I just want to keep her as it is and look at her. What do you think?
I loved the movie. This is definitely one of my favorite movies, even though I disagree with technically what the movie portrays. Even like now that you said that, it seems even more clear that the message that it's sending is in a sense narcissistic. So it's not care for other people, it's mostly care for yourself. And like, don't get me wrong, there is a place for self-care as well in a healthy psyche, but I don't think that it should be the top priority, at least not in the sense that it's portrayed in the movie. But I liked it very much. I also like, I love the memes that we got from it. It's great. I have so many new reaction memes that I can use from this movie. So for that alone, it's it was worth it. I'm gonna get one of those I'm Knuff hoodies because that's also great. Yeah, no, that's so I like the movie very much. I think that the message that it wanted to send from the ideological standpoint that was taken by those who made it, I don't think that it works. I think that, and we talked about this before, I think Jonathan Pajot would have a blast analyzing this movie, because again, those who try to have their create their own value system just can't help themselves, but at least subconsciously put in the truth there. So we see that in the evil plan that the Barbies make to turn the Kens against each other. We see that in the pain that Ken feels throughout the whole movie, and it's so funny to see how just story makers, no matter how much they try, they cannot escape real stories, even though they really want to.
I actually forgot the part where America Ferrera, who played a real woman, united with her daughter who hates Barbies. And by helping Barbies to reestablish the better reality in Barbie land, they united with each other. I think there was some good parts in it, whereby like mother and daughter should play dolls together, basically.
Yeah,
that's the lesson I got from it, and it was good.
That's also, I think, one thing that the movie did well. I mean, they were dismissive against men. They were dismissive against the father of, I think Sasha was the name, like the girl. Like the husband of the character of America Ferrera. They were dismissive against these types of figures, but the other hero figure, not as much of a hero as Ken, but the other hero figure in the movie was the mother. She was the one who helped get the Barbies unbrainwashed. I don't think that was a good thing, but in the context of the movie, with the message that they tried to portray, the hero was a mother. It wasn't like this businesswoman that's only looking at her career and doesn't care about her children, but it was a mother. And so I think that was a good thing. I think that the scene that you just mentioned was a beautiful scene, like it touched me really. And they portrayed her as a real person, and that was really nice to see.
Yeah.
How did you like the movie, just in general?
I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. I actually really enjoyed it, watching it with a conservative dude. Who was like, seriously? And I told you, it was super fun. It was like it enhanced my experience by far. So get somebody of the opposite view to watch it with you. You will enrich your understanding of the movie. I thought it was awesome. I actually did. Yeah, thank you for showing it to me. And
my pleasure. Thanks for watching it with me. It was fun, really.
With that, I would like to tell you guys, please check out Tumorvis's YouTube channel, subscribe. He's gathering the subscribers that he lost before because of the YouTube accident. And see you in the next Food for Thought. Bye. Here we have a poll that Tumorvis made on Twitter. By the way, also subscribe to Tumorvis Twitter. And would you like to tell about it a little bit? Yeah,
I mean, it's really hard to decipher, but what I was trying to convey was the question: who was the hero of the Barbie movie? And I was very unbiased, so you have the answering options. Ken, obviously. Barbie, I'm wrong. The Mattel boss, and didn't watch, so that's my control group. I don't want people just putting in any opinion without having watched it. So
50% can be dropped, basically.
Yes. And then there's most of the people think that Ken was the hero, because these people are correct. I congratulate you. You are right. There was one person, I know that this is only one vote. There was one person who said Barbie. I think it was a joker, like a trickster. I don't think this person is serious.
It was not me. Even though I do identify as a trickster and a joker, but it wasn't me.
And then there's two people who said the Mattel boss. So more people thought the Mattel boss was the hero of the movie than people thought that Barbie was the hero of the movie.
I do think they might be repulsed by the brackets "I'm wrong." They are thinking they don't want to be wrong.
That's
part
good.
Was like a little bit confusing, but okay. Another thing that I wanted to show, that this is an actual picture of the sugar daddy Ken that was featured in the movie, actually, who a little bit looks like Cody Ko. Shout out Cody Ko, and congrats on being a father. And because of that wonderful Barbie doll that got discontinued, I decided to look for Sugar Mommy Barbie. And I did not find it, obviously it did not exist, so I created one. There you go. That's a Sugar Mommy Barbie.